In 2017, a petrochemical plant in Saudi Arabia experienced something unprecedented. Safety systems designed to prevent catastrophic industrial accidents were being hijacked by malware, not to cause an explosion immediately, but to disable the very systems meant to stop one. This was the Triton attack, and it represented a terrifying new chapter in cyber warfare. The attack began long before a single line of malicious code touched the plant's systems. Between June and August 2017, a threat group known as temp.vias conducted extensive reconnaissance against their target. They scanned networks, mapped infrastructure, and identified vulnerabilities. But this wasn't your typical cybercrime operation. The attackers were after something specific: Triton's safety instrumented systems, the last line of defense against industrial disasters. These systems were designed to shut down operations automatically when dangerous conditions were detected, thus preventing explosions, chemical releases, or other catastrophic failures. And temp.vias wanted to turn them off. The attackers didn't break in through some Hollywood-style hack. They had used a combination of poorly configured OT firewalls and remote desktop protocol jump boxes to move laterally through the network. They captured valid credentials, likely using tools like Mimikatz to dump passwords from system memory, and employed PowerShell-based tools like WMimplant to execute commands remotely. To avoid detection, they renamed their malicious files to look legitimate, disguising them as Windows Update files or Schneider Electric applications. They modified open source tools like CryptCat to evade antivirus software and encrypted their communication using CryptCat binaries. The attackers even redirected text-based login codes to websites they controlled by changing phone numbers and contact lists, allowing them to intercept two-factor authentication codes. It was a sophisticated operation that required intimate knowledge of both IT and OT systems. But the real weapon was something they had developed years before the attack even began. The Triton malware framework was custom built to interact with Triton's safety controllers, requiring access to specialized hardware and software that isn't publicly available. This wasn't amateur hour. Someone had invested significant resources into understanding exactly how these safety systems worked and how to manipulate them. The malware took a single command line argument, the IP address of a target Triton's device. Once deployed, it downloaded multiple rounds of control logic to the safety controllers through a program append operation, essentially rewriting the safety rules that governed the plant's operation. The attackers sent unauthorized command messages to the controllers, instructing them to ignore dangerous conditions that would normally trigger an emergency shutdown. And then something went wrong, not with the plant, but with the malware itself. A bug in the Triton code caused the safety system to trip into a failed safe state, triggering an automatic shutdown of the entire plant. Operations halted for more than a week, and that's when investigators discovered what had happened. The attackers had built in some clever countermeasures. The malware was programmed to return the controller to a normal running state if it failed. If it couldn't recover within a defined time window, it would overwrite itself with invalid data, thus destroying evidence of the intrusion. It's believed the attackers intended to use these techniques to hide their tracks after successfully disabling the safety systems, potentially allowing a real disaster to occur without the fail-safes engaging. The implications were staggering. This wasn't about stealing data or holding systems for ransom. This was about creating the conditions to do harm. An investigation later attributed the attacks to a Russian government-owned lab, suggesting nation-state involvement in what could have been mass casualties. The Triton attack demonstrated that critical infrastructure, the physical systems we rely on for energy, order, and chemicals, could be weaponized by adversaries with the skills and resources to penetrate industrial control systems. Today, security researchers consider Triton one of the most dangerous pieces of malware ever discovered. It wasn't a first attack on industrial systems. That dubious honor goes to Stuxnet, which destroyed Iranian centrifuges in 2010. But Triton was different. It targeted safety systems specifically, systems that exist solely to prevent disasters. The message was clear. Nowhere is truly safe when adversaries are willing to cross the line from digital disruption to physical destruction. And the scariest part? The attackers came within a software bug of pulling it off, completely undetected.